The plane went down faster than I could pray. One moment, the world was a blur of blue sky and white clouds, and the next, fire, screaming metal, and chaos tearing through the cabin. I remember gripping the seat, feeling the world shatter around me as the sea swallowed us whole. The roar of the ocean was the last sound before everything went black. When I woke up, it was silence, just waves, wind, and the bitter sting of salt in my throat. My name is Ryan Hale, a single dad, a mechanic by trade, and someone who never believed in miracles. But when I opened my eyes on that nameless stretch of sand, I realized I was one. A miracle. And I wasn't alone. A few feet away, half buried in seaweed and sand, lay a woman, lifeless, or so I thought. Her clothes were torn, her dark hair plastered across her face. I crawled toward her, heart pounding, pressed my ear to her lips, and heard the faintest breath. I didn't know who she was, where she came from, or why fate decided to throw us both into this living nightmare. But in that moment, I decided she wasn't going to die. Not while I was alive. Before we go deeper, if you believe in kindness, fate, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring stories that remind the world how powerful the human heart can be. It took hours to get her stable. The sun burned overhead, and my body screamed for rest, but I carried her to the shade of the palms and used what was left of the plane's debris to build a shelter. When she finally opened her eyes, the ocean reflected in them, clear, piercing, and full of confusion. Her name was Elena Ross, CEO of one of the largest marketing firms in New York. She was flying for a conference when the plane went down. Her voice trembled when she spoke, but her gaze was sharp, proud, the kind of woman who'd built walls out of ambition and self-control. At first, we were strangers, bound only by disaster. We rationed scraps, shared silence, and clung to the fragile hope that rescue would come. But days turned into weeks, and rescue never came. The flare gun was soaked, the radio dead, and the wreckage too far underwater to salvage. The reality of our situation began to sink in. We weren't waiting to be found. We were learning how to survive. Every day became a battle between hope and hunger. We learned how to catch rainwater using palm leaves, how to build fire with stones, and how to fish with a sharpened piece of metal. My hands blistered. Her soft skin grew rough, and slowly, the woman who once lived in boardrooms and deadlines became someone else entirely. One night, the rain came hard. We huddled beneath our makeshift roof, soaked and shivering. The fire sputtered out, leaving us in darkness. For a long time, we didn't speak. Then she said, barely above the sound of the storm, "I don't think I ever really lived before this." Her words hung between us. I wanted to tell her I understood, that losing everything sometimes shows you what truly matters. But I didn't. I just looked at her, at the way lightning caught her face, and felt something shift deep inside me. The next morning, she smiled for the first time. Not the polite kind of smile people wear for meetings or photos, but one that came from someplace real. That's when I realized that sometimes survival isn't about food or shelter. It's about finding someone who makes you believe you're not alone. As the weeks passed, we found a rhythm. She helped me gather coconuts. I taught her to fish. We made jokes to silence fear, laughed at nothing just to remind ourselves that we were still human. She asked about my daughter, Emma, the reason I worked 2 jobs and the reason I'd been on that plane, heading to a job interview in Hawaii. Talking about Emma broke me a little every time. I didn't know if she thought I was dead. I didn't know if I'd ever see her again. Elena listened, not as someone who had answers, but as a woman who understood what it meant to lose something you loved. Then one afternoon, while we were exploring the island's northern side, we stumbled upon something that changed everything. A small cave. Inside were remnants of someone who'd been there before. A rusted tin can, an old knife, a message carved into the wall, "Keep the fire burning. Someone will see." That message became our purpose. Every night we built the biggest fire we could, sending smoke into the sky. Some days it felt like we were shouting into the void, but other days it gave us strength. Yet survival has its own kind of cruelty. One morning, Elena didn't wake easily. Her face was pale, her lips cracked. The infection from a small cut on her leg had worsened overnight. I panicked. Fever, shaking, delirium. I used every bit of first aid knowledge I had, cleaned the wound, made poultices from crushed leaves, prayed like I hadn't prayed in years. For 2 days, she drifted in and out of consciousness. I stayed by her side, sleepless, whispering things I never thought I'd say aloud. About fear, about guilt, about love I never thought I'd feel again after losing my wife. When her fever finally broke, she opened her eyes and looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Tears filled her eyes, and her voice trembled as she said, "I thought I was strong, but I was wrong. You're the strong one, Ryan. You've kept me alive." I shook my head, fighting the lump in my throat. "We kept each other alive," I said quietly. After that night, something changed. The air between us carried an unspoken truth. We didn't talk about it, but we both felt it. The way her hand brushed mine when she passed me the water, the way her gaze lingered when the sunset painted the horizon red. Then came the night that sealed everything. We had just finished eating fish cooked over the fire, the moon high above, painting silver across the waves. The world felt still, as if holding its breath. She turned to me, her hair catching the firelight, and said softly, "Do you ever think maybe this happened for a reason?" I looked at her, unsure. "You mean the crash?" She nodded. "Maybe life needed to strip everything away so we could see what really matters." I didn't answer. I couldn't. My heart was beating too fast. And then she took a deep breath, her eyes shining with something raw and honest. "I'm just a woman," she whispered, her voice trembling but sure, "and you're what I want." The world fell silent around us. The waves, the wind, even the fire seemed to fade. For the first time in years, I didn't feel broken. I didn't feel lost. I felt found. We didn't speak after that. Words weren't needed. The island had taken everything from us, but in return, it had given us something neither of us had ever truly known, a second chance at life and at love. Days turned into months. We learned to live, not just survive. We built a small hut from bamboo and leaves, collected rainwater, grew fond of the island's quiet rhythm. Sometimes we fought. Over food, over exhaustion, over memories of the world we'd lost. But every fight ended the same way, in silence, understanding, and the simple comfort of knowing neither of us wanted to face another dawn alone. Then, one morning, everything changed. I was gathering firewood when I saw it, a shape on the horizon, a boat. I ran back to her, shouting, waving, my voice hoarse from disbelief. We lit our biggest fire yet, the smoke rising high, and this time, someone saw. The rescue was chaotic. After months of isolation, hearing human voices again felt unreal. As we boarded the boat, Elena clung to my arm, her face wet with tears. The island grew smaller behind us, fading into the mist. Our prison, our home, our miracle. Back in civilization, everything felt too loud, too fast. Reporters, flashing cameras, endless questions about survival and tragedy. We smiled for them, said the right things, but our eyes always found each other in the crowd. She returned to her world of boardrooms and glass towers. I returned to mine, to my daughter, who ran into my arms sobbing, calling me her hero. Life moved on as it always does. But some nights, when the wind carried the sound of waves through my open window, I thought of her, of the island, of the woman who'd reminded me that even in the darkest moments, love can find you. Then one evening, months later, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, she stood there, hair shorter, eyes softer, no longer the CEO the world worshipped. She smiled through tears and whispered, "I tried to go back, Ryan, but I can't, because I left my heart with you, on that island." And in that moment, I realized the truth. We weren't meant to be saved from the island. We were meant to be saved by it. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment to remind someone that love, no matter how broken or unexpected, can still find its way through the storm. Special request, comment below. Even in the storm, love survives. Because sometimes the most beautiful things are born from the moments we never saw coming.